Okay, everybody, and welcome back to the Morning Edge webinar. And just move this out of the way and we'll start some analysis. So let's take a look at the euro. Yesterday we were looking at 624 on the high side, 518 on the downside, on a push lower. And as I pointed out to y'all, I was going into the State of the Union. I thought the euro, either way, but especially on the upside, would be on a tight leash, basically a ball and chain, where it couldn't go too much further because, we knew that people weren't going to really be taking positions, any significant positions going into the State of the Union speech because of the risk of volatility. So that if it made a run up there, it'd be rather limited because people would think, well, there's no volume behind this move. And if there were people that got long or were long, be happy to go and take those profits and walk away. And essentially that's what we saw. We made this run up here. We already had that level in place at 630, and it came right up here to 630 when we were looking at 624. Hang on to it. So let's see if that was even on. Just a moment. Actually, I'm wrong. I had it right to the tip right there, 630. I'm looking at it even because the system didn't save my bias chart. Like I said, I got this. The whole thing is all brand new. They had to reinstall the operating system. So yeah, that was actually our resistance 630, and there's a 630. So basically, right to the pip. Yeah, I was looking at because I don't know why the system didn't save the bias chart from yesterday. So I had to pull up the bias chart from Screencast where I posted, and I actually had the wrong bias chart. So there was and actually our support yesterday was not 518, it's 524. So you can see that was right there, 630. So even better than I thought. Like I said, I've been so busy trying to get this computer, all this stuff set up. I didn't remember where I'd even marked it other than just on the bias chart. I was trading the gold yesterday, but I wasn't paying that much. I mean, I was paying attention to the euro, but not as much. Other than just to mention to some guys, yeah, this is we're in our resistance area. So let's take a look at where we stand here with the euro. This on the 2-hour chart, like I said, I'm going to have to, little by little build up my levels. I don't have anything because I lost everything when they had to redo the computer. So let's, even my fib, I'll have to update the fibs, but we can take a look at what that would be on a fib basis. I think this 701 is going to be the 61% right here. You can see that, so we'll go and mark that off. Now, the 701, that's going to be the 61%, but what we've seen is, remember the 716 area, I remember that clearly, and then we had that 720. Let's see where this level is. We've got 710. Let's make this a little bit thicker right here. It's a slow, quiet day, so I guess that works to our benefit because, as I mentioned, all this analysis is going to be done from scratch because I don't have anything to really work from now. Now, what might be interpreted basically, like I said, as the theme was, or the story was stating, if they think what he's going to do is not going to be, is going to be onerous, it could actually end up, allowing the dollar to weaken and the euro to rally. So I remember we had that 716. I remember that the 716 on the way to 758. I guess we can mark that 758. I remember that quite clearly. There was a 758 there. Let's just go and mark that off real quickly. I think we could easily get lost in this little zone between 758 and 710. If the market, I'm saying, we could make a run up in here. If that's the way it's going to go and play itself out. So we're going to give this space. This is going to give this market a lot more room because there's a potential that we could see the dollar weaken. The whole idea is that the policy is going to push through. Is going to end. That he may not be able to get that through Congress, or the problems he's going to have with that associated with that could end up working against the dollar. Okay, so you could end up seeing a dip towards a strengthening dollar, and then end up seeing the dollar start to pull back. Now, obviously, that just as the story was stating, that could even work to the benefit of gold. But I think gold is going to be marching to its own drum, so you have to be very careful with gold. But I think that we're setting ourselves up for the dollar to potentially go on and weaken. So you could see a strengthening dollar, and then once everybody looks at the guts and details and the how difficult, as the story was stating, how difficult it might be just to go and get the legislation through. I'm not saying the dollar's going to turn and fall off a cliff, but I'm saying it may go and allow for a reasonable correction. So you could see the euro pull back and then try and reassert itself. So I think, my move that we could get to, we've got the 7, we're going to play it, I think we can get up to 716, but we're going to just stick with 710, which are confluence with the 701, the 61% of this move from 494 to 829. And I think we may not see it hit initially, but I think that we could see the euro initially weaken and then start to strengthen, and then everybody say, wait a minute, you know what? The Fed's not going to, I'm just saying that would end up being the perception. Then people will reinforce that thought by saying, the Fed's not going to raise in March. They're not. So then it's just going to allow the dollar to come off more. So we're going to go with 710 as our resistance. Although I think it could even get higher. Let's put this up here. And we're going to be taking our time this morning. As I mentioned, it's like a broken record, but I'm starting from scratch. Lost almost everything I had on the computer. And anyway, the good news is it's a slow day, and we're going to be looking at some much wider support and resistance to encompass the volatility that we may go and see for the State of the Union. So let's go and take a look at support. Yeah, I have to say support will be 490. 490. Well, I'll show you the line coming across here. And that's on a push that initially he starts, let's say Trump starts talking about all the spending, which then lets the dollar go higher. But then, like I say, it could end up being at the start of the speech or the initial phases. I think that the dollar could be, on the bid. And then the dollar could start to slow down, then we could just start to see it just gently start to come off, or higher. So, only time will tell. I mean, no one knows for sure how these things are going to play out. We're just trying to pick areas where there's going to be volume, where there we, as far as I like to call touches, where the market might be willing to go and step in. I wouldn't say the extreme push, but it looks like this 453. If they hit the stops below that 490, it's going to trigger a lot, some scare. So we're going to go with 453, and we'll mark this off. So that's what we're going to go with, 453. It's a wide dispersion, but I'm saying is I think we could start the evening out with the dollar firmly on the bid. You could even see some stops start to get hit if it goes that way. I think one thing you want to play a little bit cautious going in. I mean, if you want your gun to head, I'd probably rather be short euro going into the speech, and then I think you could scare the market a little bit, and then we could trigger some stops lower, and then this is a pretty good value area, I believe, right in here. And then the market could be supportive, and then the market could, I think, if I were to be following a theme, then I think the dollar could start to slow down, and then the market, in this case the euro, would start to work a little bit higher than if this played out. And then once we got above 490, it might trigger some more stops, up into the 540, then we come back, and then little by little the euro starts moving higher. But we'll have to go and see, But, so we're going to mark 453, once again, a wide dispersion, because I think we could start out with the evening with the dollar quite on the bid. So let's go to cable. Those aren't the levels from yesterday. Because like I said, it didn't say the bias chart, so we're putting the levels from yesterday, which were, I do have the right bias chart on another computer from a screenshot I did. So that's 2348. And the upside was 2503. And we did have this range. So let's take a look at the cable. It's kind of all over the map right now. Yeah, that's what we came up with, that 2348 is just 50%. If it takes a dip, we're probably going to move a little bit lower in here. Right there. So let's go in and mark this off here. That support would come in at 2283. Once again, we could have a little bit of a wide dispersion as we come. Like I said, there's going to be potential for a lot of volatility. So we got this marked off for 2283. So let's mark this off for support. Wide ranges for today as we go into the State of the Union address. A lot of risk here. And let's take a look on the upside. On the upside, I think you have to push it up in here, right? There, which is 2569. If you remember, we had this marked up pretty good. We had our, I remember that from one of the bias charts, our resistance was 2563, so that was a good call. But I thought, like I said, the cable would be going much higher, and here we are weakening. So, but that's going to be our support. Our resistance 2569, so let's move in here. See if we can't get clipping along a little bit faster. So next is going to be the Aussie dollar, and we had 76.53 support from yesterday. And resistance was 77.07. So let's put it down. So let's take a look at the Aussie dollar and see what it did. So we stayed in a relatively tight range in here. We had 76.53, didn't make it down here, 77.07, so let's take a look. As the story said, it said if anyone can break the Aussie out of this range, it's going to be, the State of the Union speech tonight with Trump. This is our old 77.31 friend, so let's mark this off. And I'm going to put that for resistance, actually. Support, if we break low, I'm going to put it right there, 76.11. It's coinciding with these touches here, so that's 76.09. So we're in this range here between this 76.09. Let's push this back a little bit further to 77.31. I'm going to go in and mark this in. It makes it easier to see it. So we'll see, I mean, this is just the bottom of this range here. I think that's where the support, remember, you're going to see some support come in. We'll have to see what happens. I mean, at the end of the night, then, if we're seeing the dollar weakening, that's where they're going to run into some trouble, 77.31, but they're certainly going to have a chance to go and push this thing higher. I mean, the door's open for them to go and make a run, for this to go and move higher. Then certainly, like I said, we're starting to rotate a little bit lower. The market's tired. Like I said before, I don't have a good feel on this Aussie dollar. We did get up there to the top. We had that 77.31 marked out for some time and did have trouble. And then they came up here and got up as high as like 40, and then they slid right back down. But it's not like as if they're pressing lower. Tonight's going to be the ability to go and push this market one way or the other. When we get back, we'll start on the Kiwi. And like I said, there's nothing really happening. We do have second estimate of GDP Q4, but like I said, with the State of the Union tonight, these markets are going to stay relatively tight. When we get back, we'll go and start on the Aussie, and thanks for joining us here on the Morning Edge.